Washington, D.C. Police Department has been negotiating with a ransomware gang known as the Babu Group this week. On Monday and Tuesday this week, they released screenshots of their negotiations with the DC police. And these screenshots reveal that the Babu Group asked the DC police for $4 million to not release this information they stole from the police department, and the DC police offered $100,000. The Babu Group was so upset with these negotiations, they released a bunch of secret information about police officers in that police department. They released this week sensitive background information on police officers, and they threatened to release the information on police informants and the identities of undercover cops. What I'm really curious about is whether this Babu Group, in the course of having all this information that the cops don't want them to have released, secret criminal activity, all that shit, what I really want to know is how much shit the Babu Group has about like the really ugly, criminal, secretive kind of shit that the Washington, D.C. police have probably done. Secret files that show the real underbelly of what goes on when no one's looking.
And what came out just this week, as you can see by the story there, dated December 18th, 2021, is that the DC police, over a period of 10 years, tried to fire 24 different officers for criminal offenses, and that there was this powerful panel of top-level cops that blocked almost every single one of them. A Metro PD officer was dispatched to the scene, ran the plate of the Nissan Maxima, and found out that the car and the criminal was a Mr. Ronald Fauntleroy, an MPD officer. The Metro Police Department swiftly took action, moving to terminate Fauntleroy. The Internal Affairs Division determined that a preponderance of the evidence existed to sustain the allegation that he violated DC law and department policy. How fucked up is that? That my man was driving drunk, tried to solicit prostitutes, and then stuck a gun in their face. All three of those things are things that you or I would be thrown in a cage for a long time, and rightfully so. Go around sticking guns in people's faces. And yet none of those things happened to this hero. A powerful tribunal of 3 high-ranking officers, known as the Adverse Action Panel, overruled the department's decision to fire Fauntleroy. The officer in charge of that panel, Robert J. Conti, has since risen to become the chief of police for MPD. Fauntleroy was stripped of his title of Master Patrol Officer, but the department roster shows he has since regained that title, soliciting prostitution, sticking guns in people's faces, committing crimes while armed, and they don't think it's a problem at all. These laws are for thee, not for me. That's their approach, and it has been for quite some time. Between 2009 and 2019, 24 different officers they attempted to fire for actions such as sexual assault, DUIs, and a number of other crimes like stalking. And in almost every single case, this 3-panel tribunal let the cops get away with their crimes. This is not an isolated incident particular to the DC police. Police departments all over the country, law enforcement officers, people who are supposed to know and enforce the law, only want to enforce it when it's someone they don't like. Please let us come together and fuck these criminals up. Finally, the department's internal investigators concluded that at least 64 people who currently serve as MPD officers committed crimes. The department sought to terminate 24 of those officers. In 21 of the 24 cases, the Adverse Action Panel reduced their sentence to a suspension or outright acquittal. The department did not seek to terminate the other 40 officers either, more than half of whom the Internal Affairs Division believed had been driving drunk or recklessly. Other criminal conduct the department did not try to fire current officers for included recklessly handling a firearm, harassment, property damage, stalking, and theft.